Today, another lost film of the day, an early science fiction feature released in 1925 titled The Death Ray, directed by the legendary film pioneer Lev Kuleshov. Kuleshov is well regarded for having founded, along with Vladimir Gardin, the first film school, Moscow Film School, in the world, a mentor to many legends of the early Soviet Union cinema. Some consider him the first film theorist. His writings directly preceded those of his student Eisenstein's. It is the beginning and the end, the first and last reels of The Death Ray, that are lost. Not only is this film not entirely available as it is, but I was unable to view what is available with English subtitles, so I have to rely on external plot synopsises in order to make any sense of what I see. Apparently, this screenplay was written by another great Soviet author, Vsevolod Pudovkin. According to Wikipedia, the film takes place in an unspecified Western capitalist country where a fascist government is attempting to suppress a socialist uprising. The revolutionary leader Thomas Lamb is imprisoned by the government, but he escapes to the Soviet Union. There he meets the engineer Potterbed, who invents the Death Ray, a device which explodes gunpowder and fuel mixtures at a distance. Father Revo, a fascist intelligence agent, steals the invention and brings it back to his country. The government begins using it as an instrument for suppressing labor strikes. However, the workers end up seizing the device and use it to blow up bombers in the air which are sent against them. It has been said that this film's narrative was possibly inspired by a 1924 novel called Lord of Iron, written by Valentin Kataev. In fact, it is claimed on a webpage I have linked in this video's description that the first version of this film's screenplay was titled Lord of Iron. I shall now read aloud an alternate plot synopsis I have found on this said web resource. The talented Soviet engineer Porfiry Potterbed, has invented an apparatus that can be used to explode combustible substances located at a considerable distance from him. Having learned about the invention, which was called the Death Ray, the spies of one of the Western countries of the fascist regime stole the installation. Having fallen into the hands of the fascists and capitalists, the Death Ray becomes an instrument for suppressing workers' strikes. But the workers, led by communist Thomas Land, Sergei Komarov, rises in revolt and seize the apparatus. With the help of Potterbed's invention, the rebels easily deal with their enemies, blowing up the bombers sent to destroy them in the air. I shall relate to you what is written on this fantastic source, as I have much information about this picture. The premiere of The Death Ray took place on March 16, 1925. The film was staged by one of the pioneers of Russian cinema, Lev Kuleshov, whose developments in the field of staging, working with actors, editing, and filming technology for many years determined the further development of screen art not only in our country but also abroad. From the very beginning of his film career, Kuleshov believed that the adventure genre in cinema most closely matches with the tastes of the modern audience, and therefore is more in demand than all the others. In preparing for the filming of his tapes, Kuleshov, in his words, supported and nurtured in his students a love for a keen sense of dynamics, a love for the clarity of physical movement, for fast pace and laconic expressiveness, an actor's pause. After the unprecedented success of the adventure comedy The Extraordinary Adventures of Mr. West in the Country of the Bolsheviks, released in 1924, Kuleshov, together with his like-minded people and students, set about staging a new picture, adventure fiction Death Ray. In the years when the picture was created, the idea of creating death rays capable of carrying death and destruction at a distance appeared to become widespread throughout the world. It is noteworthy that in the same 1925, when the Death Ray was released on the screens, the publication of Alexei Tolstoy's novel The Hyperboloid of Engineer Garin began in the magazine Krasnava Nov. By the way, its author, when asked if the protagonist has a prototype, replied, "An old acquaintance told me the story of the construction of a double hyperboloid. The engineer who made this discovery died in Siberia." The idea of creating a deadly apparatus using some kind of mysterious radiation was also reflected in the script written by Vsevolod Pudovkin. Death Ray is comparable in many ways to the adventures of Mr. West. The high professionalism of the actors, sitters, their plasticity, sports training, the ability to perform stunts of varying complexity, excellently staged crowd scenes, the director's skill in terms of frame composition and the use of rhythmic editing, these and other undoubted advantages were inherent in both films. However, unlike Mr. West, Death Ray turned out not to be an original work, but rather a secondary product, although made at a high level, but an imitation of foreign adventure films. The film, due to the large content of numerous acrobatic stunts, fights, and chases hastily connected by the plot, in general leaves a feeling of confusion. In addition, the characters of the characters are very conditionally depicted, which is why none of them looks more or less believable. very conditionally depicted, which is why none of them looks more or less believable. Most of the roles in the film were performed by students and graduates of the acting workshop at the State Film School, future VGIK, created and directed by Lev Kuleshov, Porfiry Podobed, Svevelet Podovkin, Sergei Komarov, Vladimir Fogel, Alexandra Koklova, Pyotr Galadzev, and others. After the release, the film was subjected to harsh criticism in the press. The audience also greeted him more than cool. The director tried to explain the failure of the picture, referring to the fact that he was directed by an experimental film which was supposed to fulfill only a few of the tasks assigned to him. The Death Ray was supposed to demonstrate the high level of training of the actors of the Kuleshov workshop and the ability to stage crowd scenes, to show that, despite the meager material support, the team is able to shoot pictures at the same technical level as foreign producers to prove the installation as a means of artistic expression rather than a technical element of filmmaking. What a brilliant slice of early film history here. The Death Ray's true absence from posterity is a phenomenal shame, one which truly hurts as much of the picture is available. What we have is a film which is impressionable, glorying in lavish, sometimes spooky, always striking, close-ups, triumphant depictions of motion, distinct art design, and an imaginative technical creative philosophy, in attempting to conjure this genre tale as a celluloid feature. Thank you all and have a fantastic day.